right, today we're going to talk to my old manager, Chris Weaver, and so he's currently working at an agency called MWI, so it's fun to kind of reconnect, and today we talk about some influencer marketing and the strategy side of things and what that looks like to come up with strategy and have it go down the funnel to the execution side of things. So it's fun to talk through process on the agency side of things, what they're doing from an influencer standpoint and kind of their thoughts. They were big on influencer marketing and kind of have backed away. So we get into the why of that. And so it's just really fun, or it's fun to chat again with him and talk with an industry person, and would love to hear the thoughts. So let's jump right in. What have you been up to the last year and a half, and kind of what do you do in marketing, in the marketing world?
Cool. Yeah. My name's Chris Weaver, and I am the Director of Marketing and Strategy at MWI. MWI is a digital full service agency, but what sets us apart from every other digital marketing agency out there, because there's a ton of them, is that we're international as well. So we've got a really cool kind of setup where we've got about 40 or so company-wide, but we've got small, very nimble offices. So we've got one here in Phoenix. This is kind of our U.S. hub. We've got one up in the Seattle area, in Tampa, in Texas, like Houston area. Then we've got another big one in Hong Kong, an office in Shenzhen, and one in London.
Shenzhen,
I believe. Yeah,
it's fun to say.
It is. Yeah. So you've never been over on that side, right? So it's crazy, man. I went there last year to visit the Hong Kong office, and Hong Kong is just like any other big giant city. London, New York. Yeah. It's just huge. Tons of people everywhere, really great culture. And then you go across the border to China, which is about, I don't know, maybe a half hour from like the city center, maybe closer to an hour. And then you go over to China, and it is like, it is another world, right? Like it is.
That's crazy.
But then at the same time, you go into the middle of the city, and you've got the same skyscrapers that you have in Hong Kong. It's just there's no people there. So it's almost like they do it differently, where they build these giant skyscrapers, brand new, everything's super nice, but there's no people in there yet.
They go by the
crazy,
Field of Dreams motto, you know?
Totally feel the Dreams model, man, yeah. But I mean, like, that's where, I guess, that's in Shenzhen, they've got a Weibo headquarters, which is like Chinese Twitter. They've got a WeChat, which is like huge. Yeah. It's every, Facebook, every social media you could see combined. Huge over there. They've got headquarters there. So it's going to be like, you'll hear it more in the international tech industry for sure. So anyway, what else was I talking about? What I've been doing?
Yeah. And kind of like to preface, like, you were pretty much my boss over at Reister, on a couple accounts. And so that's kind of, I always loved how you thought through strategy and everything, and kind of work together here and there after that. And so, just what are some of the things that you've been on in the last, because you were just out of the country, a couple weeks ago?
I was in Malaysia about a month and a half ago.
What was that for?
That was a speaking engagement, actually. It was this conference called the Marketing Asia Group. And it was specifically for marketing professors, which was kind of different. It was the academic side of the things. So it was put on by a couple of marketing professors based out of New Zealand. And what they do is they all get together and talk about a lot more theory, which was totally different about how marketing affects, and everyone comes in with a paper, and their kind of goal is to get together and talk about how they can get their papers published in journals. And essentially the studies that these marketing professors are doing is what leads into the research that you and I use in our day-to-day. Yeah. So what was different was I went there and spoke, and I was the only one with like marketing I was the only one who did this stuff.
Yeah.
Everyone else just talked about
the theory
and talked about theory, right? And I go up there and I'm speaking and I'm thinking to myself, well, yeah, because I'm like, the first thing I said when I came in was like, I feel like I like snuck into like the teacher's lounge or something like that, and like I shouldn't be here, you know, like you guys are talking like I was touching theory a little bit, and I was like, I gotta cut all these slides because it's like they're gonna just like murder me, you know, exactly. But like I was just going through like I just went through a couple of the websites from the people who put it together, and was like, you know, this is like. You know, this isn't a good user experience, you know, this is missing SEO, best practices, and just kind of hit a couple of those things. And people came up to me, there was a real strong connection. They just didn't see, it surprised me how little they knew about that part of it.
Which was crazy.
It was totally crazy, right? Because I was like, you talk about this all the time. All I'm doing is taking
how there is a more of the connection between theorists and practitioners and
academics and actually doing it.
I didn't even know that there were people that just were on that side that just talk the theory like that's
well, they all like teach classes. They're all professors, but like that part of it is like they don't care. They just do that so that they can put together their papers and like be published in a journal, right? Yeah. And then that's essentially the stuff and the stats that we use when we're like presenting to clients and saying like, hey, you know, 50% of X, Y, and Z prove that this works, and this is studies we got from eMarketer or, you know, whatever other publication we use that's coming from these guys' studies.
Yeah.
So it was a totally different, cool vibe, and then I got to travel a little bit, you know, while I was over there. Yeah. Not too much. I had to go home real quick to hang out with the little baby, the little guy. Yeah.
Actually, what we just talked about, literally we're working on a whiteboard video that talks about that, is you have the teachers and the academics, and then you have the practitioners, and it's there's so much valley of wasted knowledge and just not coming together, and it's laugh because that's part of the script is like there's this valley of wasted knowledge because you have the education side of the academics and you have the people that are actually doing, and it's a sustainability thing, and it's like, what if we could just work together and like take your theory and everything you guys are doing and then actually put it into best practice? And
or here's an even better one is what you hear from best practices from Google or from, you know, when you're reading things and you put that in and it literally is the exact opposite. Like you follow best practices and it goes to crap, and then you go do something that's completely like you should not do and it works. Right? Like that would be the valley too. It's like, just because you said this is the way that it's going to work, it's not going to go that way. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And it's also, you have to watch who you're getting best practices from. I mean, they might say best practices do one thing and that kind of
it's what they want it to be.
And revenue.
Right, exactly. It's the way it wants to be.
We see this works well because we can spend money very easily.
They're building clients. They're telling you the best way to do it, so then you come to them when it doesn't work.
There you go. Exactly.
Yep. So, like, when it comes to, like, what you do, like, what have you been up to the last, like, not 2 weeks, but just, like, the last couple months? I mean, you have people that do reporting, people that do, you know, strategy. Like, what is your day-to-day look like?
So I run the marketing and strategy department at MWI. So underneath me is our paid search manager, our paid social person, content marketing, technical SEO, and then we've got like some contractors and people who kind of help out here on the sides. So what my part is, you know, I help out with first off planning. So the way we run our process is all on Agile project management as opposed to like a waterfall. So where we kind of take it all up, you know, put all of our tasks together for the month, organize it, pull it out, and then, you know, work on it and pull it as they come through. And we've been doing that for several years. I mean, since I've been in MBA, so over 2 years. Works great. You know, it puts a lot more effort at the beginning, so you have to think through exactly what you want to do for that month and how you're going to fit it in. But you get a lot more work done. And so a big part of that, building out the process, building out the plan, building out the strategy of what we're going to do for this client with their money, and how we're going to organize that. That's a big part of my job. Mm-hmm. The other part of my job is helping those specialists do their job better.
Execute on their job better.
Yeah, exactly. Rather it be kind of helping out with issues, kind of clearing their path, coming with new things that we want to test and new things that we want to try.
So how does that process work? Do you kind of guide them in questions for them to come up with the test? Or like, hey, I saw this new thing on Google.
I follow our old boss's method, Kurt, where it's really just I get as much information as possible and I throw it at them. I grab articles, I grab studies, continued education. That's one thing that's cool about our industry, is that there's always free education and free things to try out. Yeah. So I throw those out, and then we have our daily scrums, and we discuss and say, hey, I want to try this. I'm like, okay, let's organize that. Let's focus it. One of the big things for our paid search guys is responsive text ads. We haven't been able to run those yet, and that's something that's at the top of our list of let's try this, see how it works, and see if it proves. Yeah. Because in my mind, I think it'll help, but we're going to have a bit of a battle with clients, right? Because some clients, they specifically want their ad text
control.
Exactly, full control. They want the exact headline to go exact description, and sometimes it's not worth that battle to have that discussion, right? Yeah. But if we have data that says, "Hey, this is working," it's easier to have that conversation.
That's the thing I know. I don't understand is like, I mean, I understand the, hey, we need to be branded and everything like that, but then there's the, why not bend it a little bit to just test and let the data say what's working? Like, there's too many people that are just like, no, because this is what I say, rather than like, I mean, why not just let it run and, hey, what does the data say? I mean, what new things can you find that might feel different content production or whatever it may be that, what are the findings? Like, why not test?
Especially when it's something that's that easy to change. Mm-hmm. Like, if you end up not liking it, you can change it that day.
No, totally.
Like,
totally. So, I mean, like, there's certain clients that we've got a really good relationship where we can kind of throw something out and test it. So those are the ones that kind of lead our direction on that.
Have you guys done anything with the new expanded text heads? Have you seen those?
The new expanded text ads?
Yeah, where you have the 3 headlines and the 2 descriptions.
We haven't gotten those, no.
Yeah, it's just started rolling out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when we had to, like, try and fight on, like, how are we going to fit any of this information in? Now it's, like, to the point where it's, like, we've run out of things to say. They give you... So
that's just going to keep pushing the organic results further and further and further down.
And so it's, you basically
make Veronica
3...
super happy.
Yeah, you basically get 3 headlines that are 30 characters, and then now you get 2 description lines, and they went from 80 to 90 characters.
And there's still 4 spots on top?
I don't know.
I haven't even seen the search.
Yeah. Because it was whitelisted at first, but I think they just rolled it out and starting to see it in more and more accounts to where you don't need to reach out. But it's, I'm interested to see what it does, but sometimes it'll truncate that 3rd one depending on the space. And so I'm all for it because it's like, push the competitor down.
Yeah. So the other things that I'm working on a lot of sales stuff. I'm getting a bit into some more of the display and media planning stuff. Mm-hmm. We got a couple more clients that are kind of interested in that side of the ball. So helping kind of put together our media plans and work with vendors and organize their money into ways that really work. So that's another big part that I'm kind of taking on. And then actually the thing that I'm most excited about right now that I've kind of like just laser focused in is persona creation and customer segmentation. We get more and more clients that are interested in the idea of, okay, I want to really know who my customers are. Not only who my customers are, but who are my customers who are just setting up for a free sample but not purchasing? Or who are my ones who are my key buyers? And who are they? Give me not only the random stuff that you can get out of Google with name, age, demographic, but what are they interested in?
Mm-hmm.
What are they, and that's kind of more like not as much of our normal data world. It's kind of stepping a little bit further out into like this marketing world in general.
Yeah.
So I've been really diving into that, finding new tools that kind of help us create those personas, looking at some cool customer segmentation. That stuff, that's a crazy industry. Have you looked at that at all?
I mean, like
for you guys' business?
Just customer segmentation in general?
Yeah, so I found this company called Affinio. So they are specifically for the big, like we could never afford them. I think it's like to get their licensing fee, it's like $30,000 a year.
Jeez.
It's crazy, but it is so slick, Dustin. Like you upload data or you pull out information and then it creates these cluster maps of different people, personas, and then you click on one of those personas and it says, this person loves Nike, they over-index with Nike, they over-index with...
So you take first-time data and upload it, and it shoots all this stuff out?
Yeah, or you can do it by search, so like you can search names and they pull it from social data, or you can upload first-party data, create personas and segmentation.
And it's $30K a year?
Yeah, So from what I'm learning about this industry right now, you've got these huge services that are crazy expensive for the enterprise level people.
Yeah.
And then you've got like the down and dirty way that we do it, right? Where you're like pulling data and like using Facebook and Google to kind of create personas.
Tie it all together.
Exactly, tie it all together. There's not really, I haven't found anything that's kind of mid-level yet. If somebody finds it, let me know.
Yeah. No, I mean it's
but it's a cool space. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's essentially, I love that. It's all about building audiences and knowing what to say to them, and it's like that's the biggest like thing or hurdle that I see with most like campaigns or with agencies where it's just you have one set of ads and it's like we say this to everyone when it's like, it's for example, it's like you can take something like this and if we're trying to reach baseball fans, literally just layer that on and we could do this like in front of Chase Field, and just by knowing what the audience likes and their interest and shooting it in that location you might get more engagement, but that's what it's all about, and that's like
and it doesn't always make sense. That's the other part is like that affinity could be something that you would never ever expect, and it's like you can A/B test it just like what we're talking about A/B testing ads. You can A/B test some random affinity, Conan O'Brien. Maybe you like bust in like a Conan O'Brien joke here and there, and all of a sudden you're seeing like that kind of stuff fits because that's one piece that speaks to somebody that you wouldn't even think of.
Love that, because that's essentially what we're doing. So once we film these or whatever, like that's what we're trying to do is cut it up and like. So working with someone, might be going to Vegas and working with someone that are like trying to explain to him that he wants to get a show going. Essentially, he's a boxer guy, but let's give an example. Like, if you're talking to someone and someone makes a reference about like outdoor hiking or cut that little clip up and then put subtitles there, and then just reach hiking fans who are also into podcasting, or like get the audience that you want, but then throw on those little layers, and it's like you can take content and even though you're not talking about,
repurpose it a million times,
and it's just hitting in on someone's persona or what they actually like, and you're just using a small little clip that is supposed to be about marketing, but it's just something that could hit on a persona or an audience, and just by that you just get their attention. Once you get their attention, then it's like, oh, what else do you guys offer? What do you do? Or and it's just a way to I love it. It takes more work producing the creative and even within AdWords and setting up in Facebook, setting up all the different campaigns, and it takes time, but I really think that
lets you cut through all the noise though, because they hear that one thing that interests them versus all the other things that are going on.
Yeah, exactly. And it's almost like you've got all these different, like, you're creating a funnel, right? But you've just got all these different little clips that are your top funnel.
Right.
You love funnels. I can see it shaking your head over there.
It's funny because it's like, so we're talking about today, it's like, most of the recommendations and stuff I'm going through now, it's literally like, you're hitting the right audience, you're just saying the same thing to everything, and it's like, cool, it might be in line with that audience, but you're not saying anything to hit on any of their interests or like what makes them stop in that feed or actually get their eyeballs. It's like, sure, you're reaching them, but if you were to go a step like beyond that and hit on those interests. It's the whole interest thing.
Yeah.
Like, what are you into? Are you like, and it might be the weirdest things, but that might be where the white space is.
But how do you find that? That's the thing that where I'm trying to be like, how do you find that, and how do you get like, because we have this first party data and like big data. I mean, that's what the big companies do, right? Is they just put it in the machine, and it just like chunks them out. How do we do it on, coming back to what we were first talking about with the academics part and the actual like professional, actually like, okay, let's do it. How do we do that? How do we get that data and create those personas and create segments based off of data, as opposed to just being like, they're nerds, so they probably like, anime, like, let's just try that. But like, how do you actually like figure it out? How do you actually do it? That's the part that I think it's coming. I don't think there's a way that I've found yet so far that is really just like nails it for the down and dirty for us. Yeah. So that would be really exciting to create those segments.
Yeah. And I think you mentioned clients are talking about it. So when clients start talking about it more and you start hearing the conversation more, it's just going to create people that want to create the solutions.
Yeah.
I think it's just a matter of as the conversation picks up. And I think people understand that it's important. That's instead of just blanket messaging to create little personas and speak to them. It definitely creates better performance. And as that conversation just grows, it's the solutions will come. If you're big enough, $30,000 a year, it's a hefty price tag for sure.
Yeah.
But I think for the data you get out of it, if you can actually produce the content that can feed all the different personas, I think that you would see the performance, and then you could take that data and then sell it and say, hey, this is what we're seeing. Like, we've cut CPAs in half because we're actually, and once you get more people buying it, then it's like, now you're feeling
Adobe has a solution too, but what they do is they roll it into their entire marketing cloud, right? So that's all part of the analytics and the website and this huge package thing, right? Like,
gotcha.
I think that would be a good industry if you could create like that mid-tier
I think
option.
that's probably, it's got to be coming up soon, just with like AI and stuff. You can just put all the data in there and let it figure it out.
Yeah. The one problem is, though, that I think is, or at least the one hurdle of it is GDPR. Right? Being able to protect the data, but also offer a SaaS solution.
That's what mine keeps going to, is like, I think it might just have to do with just data protection, and especially with the whole Facebook Analytica, but it's...
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think people are less willing to share their data even after that happens. It's like, oh, cool, it sucks. We'll chirp about it for a week, but I think it'll just...
You get the outrage for about a week, maybe two, and then...
And how it all happens is if you bring...
Well, and that's after the... What was the other one? The Social Security stuff, or the... Oh, not that one.
I know what you're talking about, the credit score company. The credit bureau.
Got bug hacked into, and that was all gone. And like, no one... Yeah. I heard about that for maybe 2 weeks. So like, make sure you check your score, and then
the checker. But you remember that, like, the check? There was a website that you could check your score on, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, well, why? What if this gets hacked?
Exactly.
Like, why do I trust this better than what was before?
Well, and that same company too. I read some article where they were offering their free protection for people for a year, and I'm like, why would I go back with like?
Yeah. I know we screwed up, but why don't you just give us a second shot,
guys? Yeah. What are you gonna do?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that whole data thing goes back to even like reporting. Like, the whole just reporting in general, combining data sources and building it. It's still. It's come a long way, but it's still not even perfect. With some of the tools that are out there, and so I think it's just a matter of data protection. Because it's. Whenever I ask any questions, it's usually what it comes down to is like there's some policy where you can't tie these data sources together or something like that. So I think it's just a matter of people giving up their data a bit more.
Yeah.
How to do that?
Well, even in like Google stuff, I remember you'd look in like an ad group and there'd be one thing. You dig down deeper, the numbers would be different. And they're like, well, the number's too low, so we can't show you it here because you could somehow find that person by an IP, and then
those are such a battle, man. Or AdWords and analytics not lining up, or
It's It's all
Fun.
phased. It's all a process.
Those are fun.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's pretty much what I'm working on these days. So
When we last spoke, I mean, you were big on influencer marketing. Have you done anything with that in the last 6 months?
Yeah, so that's another area where we're kind of internally deciding which way we want to go. We've got some great partner agencies that right now that we utilize, when a client comes to us and is interested in influencer marketing, or one of our planners say, hey, like this would be a good solution for these guys. So we kind of work hand in hand with our partners. There's a lot of SaaS options for that but again, it's expensive, just like what we're talking about with Affinio. So, and what those SaaS solutions really do is it just helps you with automating the whole process. You still have somebody who has to go out there and find the right influencers and handle that back and forth. I still think it works, but it needs to be the right solution, right? Like there's, I saw a tweet by Rand Fishkin recently that was something like, influencer marketing 10 years ago was identify somebody who's key in your industry and create a partnership. Influencer marketing today is find a attractive person online and have them take a picture with your product.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, maybe that works some things, but not for everything, right?
Yeah.
So like finding those right solutions and finding those right partnerships, to me, is more of that. It's more the partnership.
Which
it's
takes
more
time.
The content connection, right?
Yeah.
And you're right, it's time consuming.
Yeah.
It's like something that a strategy that you need to put a lot of effort and a lot of energy and really get behind. It's not something that we're just going to add on for it to work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's kind of where we're at with it. I still would love the idea of bringing it in-house with the agency, but we just don't have the people to put it together. And like I said earlier, like you need to have somebody to really, that's their world.
Almost like a PR person that just literally just is constantly reaching out and researching different people. How big is your audience? What type of audience is this? Do they engage? And then
social's
reach out.
Always like that weird space, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like what kind of person is a social media? Like who are you trying to hire? What are their attributes to be a social person?
Yeah.
Right? Like it used to always be like the young person who was always on like Facebook, Twitter, but I don't know if that's the right person. Like I think it's almost, because you almost have two, right? You have the marketer who's paid social, which I mean, on our company, that's right up there with paid search with the amount of money that we spend. So you've got the marketer analytical person. You've also got the PR person who's trying to take out and handle all these personalities and connect all these people together. But then you also have like that content person who's putting out the stories and putting out the message. So it's like, social's always this weird space where it's like, it's not one person. It's multiple different people who has it. It's always been kind of underserved, I think.
Especially outside of the paid aspect, it's like, then it's like, cool, who comes up with the content strategy or the content calendar, and then who's posting, and then it's like, even when the comments come in, then it's like, who's responding. Like, it takes a lot, like, you have to, like, dig in and know the brand, and, like, if you're gonna responding, and if not, I mean, it's just a lot of man hours to figure out logistics on how it's gonna run.
That person probably has to be more chameleon, too, I mean, if you're doing a bunch of different types of products and things, like, to go from someone maybe doing, like, a car tire to, like, makeup or something, like, if you're doing all of those, like, you can't use that same voice.
The brand voice.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the other thing. When we do social media management, like, it's very important that we have a really good relationship with the client and we can go back and forth with those questions.
Yeah.
Because if you have a client that's just like, for social media, like, it's so hard, because it's like you're representing their brand, and it's not only are you representing the brand, you're also representing the voice, like you were saying earlier, Eric, or like their actions, and you got to know the inside out. I mean, it's customer service.
It's like
that's exactly what
Wendy,
I say.
Like Wendy's online, how they're always funny and like clap back at people. I'm like, are you like that, or you just want to answer a question and be done?
Yeah, exactly. Or you a law firm.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
You don't come with that voice and then be like, "You're screwed. You're going to jail."
I mean, it's almost like they need someone in house, but the agency is the consultant in that area, because it's like you need someone in house that's constantly listening to the brand, knows the brand. I mean,
it's almost like creative, right?
Exactly.
Because with creative, you agree upon with your agency and client relationship that these are your brand guidelines. This is your font. This is your color scheme. This is your voice. You know, this is a mood board for your art direction. It's almost like you need that social.
Yeah.
You know, like this is your voice. Like you're funny. You're like we're saying, like your
personas.
Your persona.
What is your persona on social? Because that's the hardest thing. Is like, especially when it's people want to be responded to quickly, and so you don't have time to like, hey, what is our take on this? And like so you need to build your persona so you know what kind of or how to respond to things. 'Cause it's like when you're quickly responding, there's nothing worse than going, why did you say this? That's not what we stand for or say, or it's just tough because it's quick and it can go any direction, and it's not like a banner ad where it goes through creative review and it goes through hands and it's like, cool, now it's out there.
Right, well, because it's interactive.
Yeah.
So it's like it can change in a second.
Yeah. Well, and then as customers, we expect social to be the voice of the brand.
Yeah.
Right. Like I like we say, customer service. We expect them to be like that. So if that's the case, then like they need to have that voice, and there needs to be that 1-2 connection. So
yeah,
that goes back into branding, which it's like it's crazy how many companies don't have that. Like, what is your brand? What is your identity? And that's like kind of opens up that question. If you can't answer that, what is your social identity, brand, blah blah blah? Then it's like maybe we need to have a deeper conversation into.
We just want more leads. We just want more sales.
Oh man, the common phrase.
Yeah.
You know what? That all sounds fine and dandy. We just need more sales.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Those are fun discussions.
So how are you guys tracking like how well influencer marketing did? It's not like you can put UTMs on anything or
so it's much more of the it's much more of like the traditional advertising side of it. I mean, there are, you can go with coupon codes. That's one way to do it. Mm-hmm. You because we flight influencer marketing, that's one thing that we look at it, because we know that like, hey, they're going to post on this date. Most of the reaction we're expecting within the next couple of days. Mm-hmm. So that's one way is flighting. The other way is coupon codes. Sometimes we don't always do that. But it's really not as scientific as like an ATM, right? Because it just doesn't make sense to do it that way.
Do you guys ever look at like, did branded searches spike? Like, I mean, if
a little bit, if it's enough money, I mean, if it's a large enough percentage, we'll look into that piece of it. Usually the way I look at that side is I want to run a full campaign, and then at the end, then I want to notice the brand search, right? Because then it's going to, you need to see, I think almost the brand search is more of a result of an integrated campaign versus just one piece of it. Yeah. So that's my thought.
I mean, you could even, depending, like you said, like how big it is, look at the demographics, like of that influencer versus
that's true.
Who is searching.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
So what we've been doing, like the one account that I'm thinking of is, and I won't say him because I don't know if I'm supposed to say him or not, but we're running multiple different channels. We're running a big Facebook dollars. We're talking about possibly doing a Snapchat takeover, Instagram. We're going to do some long form stuff on Instagram TV. So it's this big integrated approach, and their big KPI is social followers. Instagram, YouTube, and to a lesser extent Facebook, not really, but really those two big ones.
And do they like that KPI because they see that as that increases, sales increases, or is that just because?
Well, it's because they're a big they're a publisher. Specifically. So they're trying to push out content, so they want people listening in on their content, and then they're monetizing it different ways. So really, that's the way we...
More followers you have, the more eyeballs that can see the content.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it feeds their model.
Yeah, so that
model.
Branding idea totally fits into it as well, because if they're new to the market as well, if we can say after this 6-month run, that your branded search was X and now it's Y, that can feed the whole story, but it doesn't work as much for just this Facebook piece or this part because there's too many moving parts.
Yeah.
You know.
How are you seeing budget allocations? You mentioned that now social or Facebook is at the same level as search. Are you seeing more social going that way?
I think it really just depends on the industry, the client, and the goal. Industry, client, goal.
I think the goal is the biggest one.
Yeah, because that's part of our recommendation. If somebody really wants a sale, a purchase, right, and we see that there's strong search volume around that, because we get a lot of random industries that are just like, what? Like, what do you do?
Didn't even know you were in industry.
Yeah, I was like, what is this? And you know, so part of it, so if it's more of just like there's dedicated search volume and we can just kind of hit that part of it, we'll push that part of it. If it's an industry where we don't really see a good search volume around, and we really want to try and do more push messaging to that persona, and kind of get them starting to search for our brand and just kind of bypass the non-brand search, we'll kind of do that way. The other way we're going more and more social is actually local stuff. I know you guys do a lot of this stuff too.
Yeah.
Where we're kind of more pushing an event or pushing something that we're doing in the industry so that we can kind of get our name out there so people are looking for the search that way, as opposed to coming directly to our website from a non-brand search.
Yeah, so I mean, at the end of the day, that one-to-one connection, I mean, that's your conversion rate there, getting a sale. I mean, that's gonna be the highest, and it's leveraging digital to create that one-on-one engagement, and it's so I've heard that question a lot, like, oh, well, everything's going to digital, you lose that connection, that human element, but it's like, and not so much it's replacing, it's just enhancing and allowing you to scale the
where they are
relationships
in their search process, right?
Yeah.
Are they actively looking for this? Like for us, like orthodontists are a lot of clients for us. So, you know, are they at the point where they are actively looking for Invisalign? Are they actively looking for Smile Direct Club? Because then we can hit them with search. Versus, you know, are they more just like in the space and they're, you know they need to, you know, fix their crooked teeth, but they're not sure, and we can kind of push that message out? Or are they actively looking for an orthodontist right now? And for that, we're actually now a Yelp certified agency.
Oh, really?
So we're running ads on Yelp as well, because for certain industries that we found, like orthodontists, it's great, because it's, you know, people are going there to compare those local competitors.
Oh, it's probably the reviews. I mean, most people are afraid to go in and have their teeth hurt or something like that, so they go to Yelp where people are leaving reviews, and
exactly,
that makes sense.
Exactly.
Yeah. Dealing with pain, they'll definitely go see the reviews.
Yeah. Your teeth hurt, you're ready to go right now.
Yeah.
You know, you're just waking up and you're like, God, that snaggle tooth of mine. I really gotta get that fixed.
That's funny. So, I mean, everyone has the like one thing that you wish every client would do. What is the one thing that you would love to see every client that you have do, or what's the biggest thing that you're trying to push that you're getting a lot of no from?
I would say, for me, the one thing that I wish every client would do, I would have set up by the time we have a discussion with them, is have their analytics set up. You know, we organize these things so that we do an analytics audit where we review, you know, our personal checklist, and then we create a measurement plan. And what the measurement plan's point is to, one, implement like areas or goals that you're not currently following, but also tie business goals to analytics and to website goals. Be able to say, you know, you've got this phone call on your website, or you've got this event, you know, what is that tie? What's the business goal?
How does that relate to revenue?
Exactly. How does that relate to what you're doing? And, you know, how does, you know, I want more traffic to my website. You know, okay, so what is that doing?
That's easy.
You're trying to brand yourself,
it's the wrong
right?
KPI to look at.
Well, but I mean, like,
what's
but
your
maybe
goal?
not. Maybe like they want to brand their name, so then it's like more visitors. So, you know, that's the one thing that we always start with, and sometimes most clients get it. Some of them say like, well, I just want you to go, and it's like, well, we can't compare it to your business goals, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's the one thing that I wish all clients had already set up, because then we could just go and we could just say, okay, this is analytics, this is set here, this is set to your business goal. Having that idea of what we're doing, how to not only how to track it, but how that it's already properly set up, that if we do this, this is going to help this business goal.
Yeah.
That would be the thing that I want.
Yeah, so it's not so much that the websites don't have it, it's just that it's not mapped out to say anything. I mean, it's because analytics just comes out of the package just not set up to track anything. So yeah, to your point, it's like reverse engineering, like what are your revenue lines, and then what do people do on your website that lead to those revenue lines? And it's like that leads. It's almost like a Pandora's box, because once you start like going into that, it's like, oh well, we don't really have anything on our website that leads to that. And then it's like, oh well, now you need web.
Well, then you need web work.
Yeah,
yeah, exactly.
But it's I think everyone's getting to the point where they are spending more on the digital side of things when it comes to banner ads, search, social. But I think where there's a huge opportunity or a huge lack just in the industry is the measurement side of things. And like, cool, we're serving all these ads, we can see what they're doing, how much traffic they're driving, but it's like, what are people doing? Are they clicking on driving directions? Are they doing this? And it's having a bigger discussion of what is your business model? How does it work? And then building those personas of each one. Yeah. And like, what do those people do on the website? And then that just helps. Once you can track that just helps you feel, can we do a better digital brochure? If a lot of people are downloading a brochure and then buying, can we make this better so that we can increase this conversion rate? And can we do anything over here to then get more people to download it? And it helps you focus on what you need to produce as a company.
And even with analytics, it's just like, because now the SMART goals, you just have to click, we'll set those up. Yeah. So they're measuring like all these random things that really don't mean anything.
No. Have you seen that?
Yeah, I've seen it.
Like, look at all the conversions.
We don't make our client. Yeah,
I've seen that. Yeah, I've seen it come in, and it's like that was the first. Can we please get rid of these SMART goals, because these like 40% conversion rates are super misleading.
But that's the part, and that's why I think the measurement plan is so integral to the whole process, because we'll do that, and then we'll have another discussion with the client, and they'll be like, "Well, but look, we went from 500 conversions to 50." It's like, well, yeah, but we were calling that a goal, and it did nothing. Like there was absolutely there was nothing. That was just somebody coming to your website.
You had people visiting 2 pages as a goal, and
people get hung up on the number. Name of the number, and not like everything should be. How does that tie back to revenue? If we need more impressions, cool, that's awesome. But how does that tie back to revenue? How are we going to track it back? And like it's one, identifying the right KPIs to even optimize, and then two, it's like, sure, quote unquote conversions went from here to here, but it's like, how many times have you had to go back and like, remember we did this, like we're tracking the wrong thing? And it's like, the whole measurement thing, I wish there was a way to go back and just like
get rid of all that.
We ran into that where it's like, well, we're measuring the wrong thing here, it'd just be nice to just get rid of it or filter it out or something, because it's like, make it piecemeal reports together.
Ugh, no fun.
Yeah. It is a lot of work, but you can get a lot out of it. It's like the first out of the first 8 episodes, I was like, these are only 20-30 minute episodes of just me talking, and it was like we ended up getting almost 50 pieces of content from it, just like little 30 to a minute and a half clips that it's like, these are perfect for teaser trailers or whatever, but it's like,
you just gotta put in the work.
Gotta put in the work. Exactly, man.
But it's, that's the biggest thing, is never having enough content to produce. But it's like, if you do one of these a day, you end up getting 8-9 pieces of content in one day, and eventually over the course of a month or two, now it's like we have more content. Like we can do nothing and still post for 3-4 months, and like it. Yeah,
that's awesome.
It definitely takes time to think through, and it costs money, but it's hoping it'll turn into revenue, which it's basically just using this as kind of like to automate the sales process, because it's like, how many times do you sit down and with clients and just say the same things over and over, like, this is what we do, blah blah blah, and it just gives people more an insight into how you think and what you do. And
for sure. Yeah, no, well, this is awesome. This is a good setup. So
sweet, thank you.
I want to let me know when this one runs out of its 10-15 cut-ups, and I'll come up here and do it with you guys again. This is fun.
Working on trying to get the website going. Have a meeting here in like an hour. Man, websites just take a lot longer than and it's, we got to get like 20-25 pages, and it's just making the content, and have a copywriter going through everything. So he's also going through all of these and summarizing everything, and so just going from
I think
copywriter to
ours. I mean, we had it, man, probably about a year when we went back and forth on it before we redid the site, and that was even from like when we designed it, then to like put in the content, put in the copy.
Yeah.
You know.
So when people ask why is a website so expensive, it's not just a matter of a few clicks and it's done. It's a matter of what do you want to say on these pages? Because it's like the biggest thing is like, cool, we had design done. I like all that. Now let's fill in the blanks. And it's like, we sell vacuums. And it's like, okay, well, why? And like hitting all those personas, and it's building out the content, which that just takes a lot of thinking to do. And
for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
So we're literally like in the final stages. I'm excited because it's
awesome.
like we
Do you know when you're launching?
Hopefully tomorrow or Friday.
Oh snap! All right.
Tomorrow,
So
Friday.
I'm hoping
Labor Day soft launch.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah. So yeah, it's gonna go, and then like it's funny, we already have the Facebook marketing set up, Instagram marketing, we have all the search, and everything's set up. It's like ready to just
gotta hit the
green
button.
light.
I
There we go.
I love
There
it.
we go.
That's awesome.
So
And then you just go, please work.
then the fun begins, because then it's
Right.
like taking a look at the data and like what clips are working better than others, and what's leading to people to subscribe, and those people that are subscribing, are they reaching out? And that's the fun part.
Oh, totally.
What is all of this leading to from a revenue standpoint? And
we did one of our clients, we've done this huge program, so it's a nationwide campaign program, and we started our test with 4 locations, and now we're up to 15 nationwide. I mean, they've got like about 400 500 locations, and it's 85-90% lead gen on Facebook, and we've come up with 3 to 4 different ad variations that speak like a different message. So building them all out, read it, we have these research data about each area, like are these people more conservative or are they more liberal? If they're more conservative, we have this message, so whatever.
Going back to persona messaging.
Exactly. So we built this whole thing out, and then we hit the other day and we're just like, please work, please come in. You know what I mean? But it's coming in, and it's coming in at the cost per lead that we needed to. So
nice.
Awesome so far.
Nice.
Yeah. It's a cool program.
Oh, that's cool.
Facebook is where it's at. So many people, and it's super cheap.
Yeah.
I mean, the cost to get in front of 1,000 eyeballs there compared to anywhere else is.
Yeah.
And you actually have eyeballs. It's not like a TV where people are just gonna go down and go to Facebook, or so it's like, one thing that I'm not a fan of that Google just did is, did you see they're getting rid of being able to exclude mobile app placements?
Really?
See, now you could exclude Gmob and all that. Yeah, they're getting rid of that.
What about so we always did it the like kind of iffy way where we would go into the negatives and put a negative Google app placement or something like that. You can't, that won't work anymore?
Yeah, the AdSense for mobile apps thing. Yeah, that's the way I used to do it too.
Yeah,
I think
they're getting rid of that.
They're getting rid of
so
all of that.
I don't think you'll be able to exclude.
Going back to best
apps.
practices and them lining up their wallets, and that's another move. It's like, it's because 90% of people probably excluded it. The only 10 were probably, business owners running it themselves that just didn't know. But it's like, that's annoying. So now it's just, you're just gonna have to take more time to either let it run or just have an extensive placement list.
And with the way they do remarketing creative now, where it's all responsive.
Yeah, you can't choose whether it's native or text, or you just fill it out. And
which is simplifying it, but it cuts out us being able to tweak it and optimize it.
So I would rather just go 100% native. I feel like most people aren't looking off to the side of the banner ads. Everyone's just looking at that. Everyone's gotten so used to Instagram and Facebook and just going through their feed that like people just see that. So those native ads, it's like actually get eyeballs.
Yeah. That's something that we've probably spent a lot less money on in the last year.
Native?
Not native, is Google remarketing. Like we just don't do it that much because it just doesn't work like it used to.
Yeah. People have gotten used to banner ads and being followed, and it's just people are used to it, and they know it's an ad.
I think
people click an ad and
blockers too.
Yeah.
Ad blockers too, and I mean more mobile, right? Like
not as much room.
Exactly, but
it just goes back to those eyeballs. I mean, if people have gotten used to them, so they don't. they just blind them out. Where Facebook, it's like it kind of blends in.
Yeah.
The native, it blends in. It's
I mean,
more,
that used to be, I would say back in the day, that was probably our second highest channel from paid. You know, was
Retargeting?
search was was retargeting,
oh yeah,
and now,
Yeah.
not at all. So
Well, and now too, it depends on what you're doing, because now there's all the like anything slightly medical or whatever. Like you can't do that.
for sure,
Like it's crazy.
for sure. Well, cool guys. Well, I think
Sweet.
I've got to probably run out here now, but
awesome.
thanks for having me. This was awesome.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah,
I
no,
really
it's
enjoyed
fun.
it.
I liked it too.
Yeah, it flowed. I think we did pretty good. I feel like we did.